Hey guys, Benny Darsow here. I'm originally from Adelaide and currently sitting here in the stairwell at the basement of the Paddo Tavern at the iconic Sit Down Comedy Club. I did raw comedy in 2002. I was halfway through a Bachelor of Commerce degree in Adelaide, and I finished the degree and then kept going with comedy after that. Before comedy, I was obviously in high school. I started when I was 20, so I'd done the first couple of years of my degree, and I think the catalyst for getting up on stage and doing some stand-up was doing the speech at my best mate's 21st birthday party, and having known him like our whole life, I had heaps of material on him, and it was just such a fun feeling to really crack a room full of people up. I think more and more comedy is about reflecting your views of the world through what you say. And so I think to have a job where I get to go to a cafe every day, have a coffee, write for 2 or 3 hours about what I'm thinking and how I feel about things, and then to hopefully twist that into my stand-up and get to share that with a live audience, to me, that's just an absolutely amazing thing to be paid to do. My first gig was upstairs at PJ O'Brien's, an Irish pub that no longer exists in Adelaide, and that was the heat of raw comedy, and it was like the second time that I'd ever seen live stand-up comedy. I went along the week before, and I said, if everyone's just ridiculously good, I'm not going to try doing this. And it was the first heat of Raw, and I was like, some of them are great, some of them are a little bit average. I don't feel too intimidated to have a go at this. And so that gave me the confidence to get up the following week and have a go. I had a gig in London about 3 years ago, which really isn't that long ago, and I became aware within about the first 90 seconds of that show that I had nothing of relevance for that audience, which is a really, really weird thing to experience at that stage. That was about the 14-year mark of my career. I'd been full-time as a stand-up comic for 4 or 5 years by then, and it was like an out-of-body experience watching myself just have nothing to say to these people. And I actually had a gig I had to go to straight after it on the other side of London, and when the cabbie picked me up, I was hysterically laughing in the back seat of the cab for about 15 minutes. I was not even in control of that, and I think this guy must have thought he'd just picked up an absolute nutcase. But it was like an instinctive reaction in my body to how badly I had just done. I think early on in Australia, I really liked Tom Gleeson. Still do, just haven't crossed paths with him as much the last few years. Limo was the very first comedian I saw live, and Limo does a lot more TV and media stuff now, but certainly back in the day, 17 years ago when I started, Limo was the king of just being able to walk into a pub and have this kind of vibe that one of your mates in the group would have, and to be able to do that with a whole audience. And I think he really influenced my first few years in terms of the importance of being likable, relatable, and really casual on stage. And I think now more recently, I think Ricky Gervais, I think Dave Chappelle. I've still got a soft spot for Seinfeld, even though I like when comedy gets a little bit more gritty, and I am not averse to people swearing on stage. I still think Seinfeld's craft is unbelievably high quality. I think the highlight of my career is just reflecting back at it in general, and the fact that I'm now 7 years into professionally doing it full time, and I have an apartment, albeit with a mortgage, but I have my own place back in Adelaide, and I think I have the skill set and the versatility and the contacts around Australia and in 2 or 3 other countries as of the last couple of years that I can make a really good, solid living already, and to know that I think with continued effort, I'm only going to get better and it's only going to get more exciting. That's a really interesting question. I was only talking about this earlier on today with Georgie, who I've just co-headlined with this run. And I think early on, comedy was just about getting on stage and are you funny? And I think now there's much more of a political focus on it. So audiences want to know who you are and what do you stand for and how do you feel towards other people. There's so much stuff in the media at the moment about, bringing out some of the more minority kind of stories from various aspects of our community. And I think certainly as a straight white male, I think audiences want to know that I am respectful of other people before they feel comfortable with me and before I can start really getting everything that I can out of them. Just take the next step that's in front of you. We all want to go somewhere really, really cool with this, or we want to go as far as we can with it. And I think the way to getting there and making a big leap or making your impact or making your statement to the world, the way that you do that is one little lesson or win or skill set that you develop at a time, and just to trust that with those little breakthroughs, night in, night out, that's what over time is going to really take you where you want to go. 4 days off at home in Adelaide is next for me. A couple of cruise ships, a few weeks over Christmas and the start of the new year to be writing the content for my next year's festival show, and then hopefully a really, really exciting 2019. Massive thanks to the Sit Down Comedy Club again here in Brisbane. I absolutely love every opportunity I get to come up here, and had a wonderful weekend headlining with Georgie Carroll, also from Adelaide. I'm heading back for a couple of weeks off over Christmas, but if you guys would like to stay in touch with me, please follow me on Instagram, Benny_Darsow, or Facebook, Benny Darsow, and I'd love to see you again up in Brisbane in the new year.